Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We are trucking in May. Good morning. I can't believe how the time is going. Oh, I see lots of suns popping up. Let's see. Let's see who we've got and what. Oh, come on. Don't start this game. Reindeer games every day. Heather, good morning. Great to see you. I want to see you. 7 minutes early. Oh my gosh, look at you. Got your ducks in a row this morning, huh? You recovered from the flea market, I guess. Suze, good morning, and thank you for your nice comments on the video from yesterday. I really appreciate it. I got my little Teddy back in today. He's over at the school again. You know, I love his teacher because she's so relaxed, and she's a little bit older, and she comes from the private school system, and she's completely lacks reverence and normal communication stuff, but she's super, super funny and laid back, and she's a good fit for us. But she struggles with the computer as much as I do. So when Teddy was over there yesterday for his testing, she couldn't figure out how to open a program on the computer to test him in his reading, which is actually one of his good subjects these days. Thank you, video games, for giving him so much text. Honestly, I'm not being sarcastic. That's how he learned how to read, was reading from his video games. But so he's back over there right now, that little teddy bear. So I'm going to go get him after this show. Thank you so much, Suze. I always worry, you know, him being different autistic spectrum, that they're going to hold him back. And he's such a big boy. You know, his dad is like 6'2", 6'3". He's such a big boy already. I would hate for him to be held back because he would look a lot different than the other kids. I worry about that all the time, particularly in the middle of the night. Mom, you're there. So I guess Andre didn't call you yet. I get to have you for a little while. Beverly, good morning. On Washington Coast, I hope you got some sun out there today. Hey, Chrissy, I'm happy that you're on so often lately. It's good to know you're there. Martha, you're back. Fantastic. Doesn't mean that everything's normal and good, but you're back. You're back. That's the main thing, and your thing is in the mail, so I'm super excited for you to get it. Tara, great to see you. I'm glad you're there. Robin, good morning. Glorious sunshine. 3 glorious sunshines. And Cindy, happy coffee time. Good to see you. Lisa, good to see you. Everybody looks like they're getting a nice wave of good spring weather here. Even summery. Penny, great to see you in North Carolina. Great to see you. Welcome back. Lori, good morning. Kirsten, good morning. Perfect day, right? Such a perfect day. I love Teddy's teacher. And you know what? He had her for half the year. Last year, he had her online all this year, and it looks like he's getting her again next year. So that is so good because, of course, when I went to school, I went to Catholic school, and yeah, we had nuns in and out, but it was basically the same 4 nuns for like 9 years. And there is something to be said for that. As difficult and fresh as they were, you know, you really love your teacher. You really sincerely love your teacher when you spend that much time with him or her. So it is nice. Oh, Relda, good to see you. Oh, well, you know, I am so electric this morning because I have been working. It's not even, I don't even want to say working hard on dyeing and putting stuff together because it's not hard. It's so fun. I'm in such a good groove right now. Like we were saying yesterday, you know, when you feel like dyeing, you should work on dyeing. When you feel like designing, you should work on designing. When you feel like cooking, you should work on cooking. When you feel like nothing, when you feel like watching marathons of Three's Company, then you should do that. But you should do what you feel like because it feels so good to do that if you are at liberty to do that. That sounded really sort of high horse, didn't it? So many people's lives are filled with busy things, and I mean in your spare time, when you get your you time, which hopefully you force every day, it is nice to do the thing that you feel like doing, because doing your hobby should never be a chore, should it? I think that's why so many people don't finish their rugs, because sometimes it feels like a chore. Linda, great to see you. Debbie, great to see you. It's sunny everywhere. I love it. So sunny stuff. Let me show you some of the stuff I have going. I'm going to start my tulips while I'm away. I was just about to transfer it onto like primitive linen or Scottish burlap or whatever I have here, my tulip pattern. And I did some dyeing for it, and I'm going to do a little more dyeing for it. You've seen this because this is the Dutch tulip palette that came out of the class that I did on Mother's Day night. But color, 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 exactly. But you know, I think I'm going to add a couple of different whites, like different ones, because this pattern really is blocky, like almost quilt-like, with lots of opportunities for, you know, different backgrounds from one place to the next. So I feel like if I had different whites, kind of, there's a huge distinction between like spilled milk white, and like vanilla cream or milkshake. You know, these are all whites, cloud white. They're all different whites. So I feel like if I had different ones or even modeled ones and I fit them into the background with the bright colors, that it would really, really be pretty and luscious and so summery. So that's one of my projects that I'm bringing with me when I go to the Cape. Gosh, I got so much stuff to show you, and I just can't show it all to you now because it's like a huge spoiler alert for the future. I want to remind you I did the Fiestaware. I have the links to the Fiestaware. I don't have the links to the Dutch wools yet. Lots of wools and lots of yarn sets coming up. You know, I have the Fiesta as yarn sets that are on, I think, the video. The link is in this video. And then I showed you yesterday, I did the entire Fiesta set, all 20, as wool, as opposed to wool yarn. And these are going to be broken up into the swatch sets for right now. So I'll have those out, I hope, later today. But yeah, the Fiesta colors I think are beautiful. I chose my favorite colors, the most sort of iconic colors, Fiestaware colors, from like the 1930s to the 1990s. So yeah, I think white would look good, Kirsten, with that. Breaks it up and just reminds you how, I'm not a big using white person, I'm a big fill everything in with color person. But it reminds you how important white is as like a place for your eye to pause, but also reminds you with many whites in one kit that there's lots of whites, just like there's lots of blacks. And I think that's an interesting point because you're adding variety with a color that you think of as a constant, and it's certainly not a constant. It's a moving target. Any of our primaries are. Oh, thanks, Penny. So I'm super excited about the Fiesta kit, and I know what I'm going to do for the mystery pattern that comes on fiber tape with the Fiesta kit. Because when you get your swatch set, I always put in a mystery pattern of the month, and you can show it when you receive it. That's the right time to start showing it in our Facebook group, which is Rug Cooking and Punch Needle Club. But yeah, I'm putting in something that I think is fitting. It's not going to be a still life of Fiestaware, don't worry, that would be crazy. It's a pattern that's going to lend itself well to using all of the colors, hit or miss style. So if you've got all of the colors going, you know, you'll be able to use them in this pattern if you want to, or just save the pattern for another time. So I was working away on that. Do I have anything else behind me? I feel like a monster movie. It's just right behind me. I have a bunch of things that I want to show you later. I'm going to include, I'm going to work my Dutch palette with these two yarns that I dyed in the Mother's Day class too. These were two of the ones that came out of that class too. They're very different to go with the brights. I'm going to see how I can work those as kind of stained glass outlines. I am well into the June kit. Penelope is still out there. She is selling so well. Everybody loves a lamb or a sheep, right? With that plaid background, and I've done quite a few kits that have variations. So if you look at a kit that I have that's like Penelope, and you say I don't like the purples, can you replace the two purples with, for example, two oranges? Somebody said, somebody else wanted more blues. I'm always happy to do that. I never charge you to do a different kind of an adjustment. It's the same amount of wool, and I have the wool. So I just choose different colors to go with it. So you can always do that. Just send me a note. But I'm well into the June kit. It is my favorite kit ever. That's so bold, isn't it? That's so bold. But it's really, really different. I haven't seen anybody do this kind of a kit. So I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about the other thing I have right here with me. I got going on I think we're long overdue. Oh, you know what? Before I forget, Bingo night is Friday night. Huge shout out to Kira for putting the whole thing together. I'm going into her complete document at this point and just putting twists and turns of things that I like to add. But man, she did the entire thing, the backbone, the whole thing. The theme is beach. So I'm calling it Beach Blanket Bingo Edition. This Friday night, in the description of this video, the cards for bingo are available. You can buy as many as you want. They're $3 each. Just make sure you can manage them all as we're going along. Oh, Relda, she's on her way to you. She might even come today. Penelope the sheep. Pieces of Fiesta. Oh, Relda, do you have some Fiestaware? I really love it. I really love it. I love the rose colors, the juniper color, the dark teal. I like the white colors too, weirdly. They've got a couple like really creamy colors. Oh, you got yours, Chrissy. How fun. The little sheep's in there. How fun. That's right, Sheila. Huge shout out to Kira. She is so good. She helped me get this done so I could work on some other things, and I so appreciate it. We are going to have so much fun with our roulette wheel. It's right here on Friday night playing bingo. If you're new to us, once a month we play a bingo game, and the cards are $3 each. and I pool all of the cards. I don't keep any aside. I pool all of the money, and for however many winners there are, there's typically maybe 5 or 6. Um, those people get a gift certificate in the amount of the total divided by whatever the winning number is, 5 or 6, for the ribbon candy hooking store. And I just want to remind you, because I cannot send cash to you or something like that. That would be completely illegal. But everything in the store, you know, including just like plain white wool, plain 2-ply or 3-ply, Briggs and Little if you do your own dyeing. You don't have to buy a kit from me or one of my designs. You can buy just supplies with your winnings from bingo. So just know that that's a possibility. And it's also super fun to play. So Kira put together really the best game for us on Friday, and I'm so excited. So, oh, Relda, you have sunny yellow, cobalt blue. Oh, see, that's a nice combo, isn't it? That sort of provincial French combo of the yellow and the blue. So Fiesta swatches, yes. Matisse is coming up on May 23rd, the design class. I'm super excited about that too. I hope you're signed up. It's going to be a really fun design class, and you're going to make some working patterns that you're going to want to immediately drop everything to hook for. So shape driven, not necessarily people, but shapes, plants, still lifes, everything. It's going to all be rolled into a really fun night. So cocktail time is bingo. I think I covered all that stuff. So I feel like it was long overdue. Small. I think doing a small. Oh, Linda, you got me thinking now. Doing a small Fiestaware. I did something similar. Still life would really fit that. It really would. I was thinking about putting that out as a pattern in general for the Fiestaware, because we've had a lot of Fiestaware sitting around with the auctions lately. But you know, I think I will probably put out a Fiesta. I think you're right. I think I will put out a Fiestaware still life, and why not? But I won't make that the pattern for the swatch kit, because the swatch kit is a, you know, small bundle, and I want you to be able to use the pattern hit or miss style for the swatch kit. But Linda, I think you're right. I think I should, and I think I would really enjoy doing a still life of the Fiestaware. That would really speak to my college and art days. That's a great idea. Very excited about Matisse too. Oh, me too. Ah, Heather knows I'm looking at. Heather made me, I got this old, let me see if I can show you. I got this old chalkboard right over here. Let me see if I can turn you. That's the wheel. I got this old chalkboard. You see that right in the middle? It's like an old Monet painting, a really bad one on like textured paper. And it had a frame on it that was quite pretty, kind of these whitewashed 1960 style frames. And Heather colored it for me, so she did the chalkboard paint on it. She's like fantastic chalkboard art person. She covered it with this clear chalkboard paint, and now it's a chalkboard. So I'm literally writing on the surface of this Monet painting with my chalks, just to remind me what to say during coffee time. What a great idea, because you don't have to have like the black chalkboard, the vintage dark green chalkboard. You can have any really kind of crappy painting from Goodwill, cover it with this clear chalk stuff, and then it's your chalkboard, and it's also something you like looking at. As soon as you covered it and I started writing on it with chalk, I had this feeling, like this punch in the gut feeling. God, I hope it's not really a Monet. Wouldn't that be something? Like, wouldn't, but of course it's not. It's on textured paper, but you can't help but think those crazy things. Oh, Anita, good morning. Great to see you in London, Ontario. I can't wait for Canada to open up. It's right there, and we haven't been able to go for so long. So I think it is long overdue that we cover Helen Albee and the Abnakee rugs, right? So this is a moment in time, right? I want to harken back. This is the book. It's a repro. I have not found any copies of the original. It's a very small book, so I don't know if it came out as a pamphlet or as an actual book. But, oh, you've got a few on your page. Heather, put a link to your page in case anybody wants them. Put a link here to your page. You should be selling your chalkboard stuff. You do such gorgeous stuff. But, you know, I don't know what the original form of this was, but this is the Abnakee Rugs by Helen Albee. And this book dates back to 1900, change of glasses, 1900, very little, 1903. So Pequawket, New Hampshire. So this book is basically a photocopy of an original document. You can see the pages are a bit spotty. You know, it's literally been put on a Staples thing and photocopied, and it's bound by Amazon, print on demand. It comes quickly. But I want to tell you, I know I've told you this before, this rug called Abnakee Rugs by Helen Albee does not have any illustrations in it. There is not one rug in this book, and there is no color in this book. So I just want you to know that, because the book is interesting is in terms of being a historical document. The text is quite interesting. I'm going to cover, I think, what the highlights are today and tomorrow with you. But if you are thinking, God, I really am interested in Native American design, I would love to see these rugs. There are only 2 rugs on the internet to look at. One of them is in the thumbnail for this video, and they are both a real similar pattern. The images of the rugs are not readily available, and they are certainly not in this book. So you will be disappointed if you spend 20-something dollars on this book and you expect to be inspired by Helen Albee's Native American, well, Navajo-inspired designs, because they are not here. This is just an informational book. So that is the disclaimer. Maybe Monet did one textured painting. I know. That's what I was thinking, Raldo. If he did, it would be the one that we just covered with chalkboard paint, right? It would be typical. My dad always used to do this thing. It was so funny. It wasn't funny when I was a kid, but now it's funny. Now he's gone. It's super funny in retrospect. He used to always do this thing where he had, like, you know how souvenir stores used to make fake copies of, for example, the Bill of Rights or the Constitution? And they would come in this envelope that had been, by a machine, like made to look old, like parchment. And he used to hide them in pages of books and stuff. And then he'd be looking at the book, he'd go, oh my, what is, and he'd take this thing out and go, it's an original copy of the Constitution. And we would believe it time and time again. Oh my God, Dad's got an original copy of the Constitution, because that it's unknown how many copies there are, and people keep finding them in bookstores and remote places. But he used to do it all the time, and he used to do it in hotel rooms too. Find like the Bill of Rights, in the pages of a Bible or under the ice tray or something like that. It was super funny, and it worked every time. If you have kids and grandkids, it's a funny joke. I would say it never gets old. It does get old, but the more times you do it, the more chance that they'll remember it 30, 40 years later, right? So when we talk about the Abnakee rugs, now there is going to be a thing with this book, because it's a 1903 book. This is even earlier than the William Winthrop Kent book that we looked at, which is 1920s. Kent's, if you remember from those episodes we did, that cocktail time, Kent's tone is a little bit patriarchal, a little bit high horse. It's a little bit upper class. And it can rub you the wrong way if taken in huge doses. Now, this book is at least that, if not a lot more. She's obviously, Helen Albee, coming from a wealthy family. She's got education, she's got status. She has this inspired feeling of doing sort of philanthropy, which is great. It was a huge trend at this time, too. The turn of the century, people from, well-off families wanting to help out on a ground level with people who weren't so well off. So that in itself is very nice. The tone of this book is sometimes less than nice. And I think that's because, lost in translation over the decades, we speak to each other differently now. We're a bit more sensitive. There is a lot of insensitive wording in this book, because we use different words now for people and places. So if you do get this book, just know, I am not condoning all of the language in this book, of course. And I certainly didn't write this book in 1903. I just want you to know that it's there. If you are sensitive, there are quite a few slurs in this book. But again, it's a time capsule. It's a 1903 book. It's a genre book that is written very specifically about approaching this project of teaching rug hooking to people. So like with the more organized religious missions, this is not a religious mission. She will describe in exhausting detail what she means to do with these Abnakee rugs. So, having said that, it is worth also pointing out that there are 2 spellings of Abnakee. So we'll just let that go, Abnakee and Abnakee. So I'm saying something in between, I hope. Now, this is a manual. She calls this book a manual for describing the Abnakee industry, the methods used with instructions for dyeing. It is a very, very long-winded book. I have gone through and taken out the parts that I think for us are the most interesting. The main takeaway thing from this, we'll be covering this today and tomorrow on Coffee Time. The main takeaway from this is, number one, she is a super important figure in the history of rug hooking. She is placed in New Hampshire. She will have a huge impact on the trajectory of rug hooking as a hobby, as something that you would want to market and sell, mainstream. She's going to have a huge influence on the rug hooking timeline. And it is really important that we cover her. And I want to cover her because what's written in this book, although it's very dated and often offensive, is still really relevant and important to our story as rug hookers. So, what she does is she will bring forth a line of designs that nobody has done as hooked rug designs yet. Woven designs, yes. Native people have been using their own designs for rugs, of course. But she will be the first person who will bring forth a huge line of, we don't know how many, of Native American, particularly Navajo-inspired designs for rug hookers. And she will describe what her motivation is in going toward this sort of school of design as opposed to doing what other people were doing at the time. She has huge disdain for scrolls and medallions and flowers and animals and most things. A huge disdain. So we're going to read about that. But what she does do is she figures out a sort of school of designing, that very geometric school that borrows from Native American art. She will focus in on this as a solution to putting out rugs. These are going to be the rugs for people who do not want sheep, pets, houses, and flowers and flower pots. She will put out a line that she believes to be the best jigsaw fit for the people who want something that's a bit more neutral, a bit more man or woman. And this is a brilliant thought that she has. And this is why it's documented, and this is why we talk about it. And this is why you've heard her name before me, I'm sure. So the first line of this book, in the introduction, this is the first sentence. The industrial experiment known as the Abnakee rug industry is the result of a chance interview held in a New York studio. Already glamour, right? Because if you think about it, right, 1903, we are talking about the Gilded Age. If you are from the East Coast, we're talking about Newport. We're talking about Bellevue Avenue in Newport. We're talking about Martha's Vineyard. We're talking about Cape May. All of these summer communities, and she participates in the summer community lifestyle, where she has another place that is enormous, away from the filth of the cities, which the American Industrial Revolution has created 20 years before, away from the filth of the cities, because doctors are recommending that you get away to these summer places. So this is part of her life, but just in your head, slot this into the Gilded Age timeline, this period of absolute decadence that will really end definitively with the sinking of the Titanic and the loss of so many people from that class. But she is squarely ensconced in this world of New York. And she has a conversation at a studio apartment about how nice it would be to help people who are less well off. And this will get her going on her own personal mission, which will be rug making. So I just think it's interesting that she says this, the whole thing starts almost as a seed from a chance meeting, an interview, a conversation, of course, held in a New York City studio apartment. Reminds me of something so interesting that I heard. The artists Lerner and Lowe, Ellen J. Lerner and Frederick Lowe, who wrote many musicals like My Fair Lady, Camelot, that era of musical writing. But I read the biography of Ellen J. Lerner, and he talks about how his whole career was based on two coincidences that happened. Everything came back to like getting punched in the face during a boxing match. So I forget how he phrased that, in a wrong turn in a restaurant. And what he meant was that because he got hurt during a just sparring match, like in college, it killed one of his eyes, and he wasn't able to join the army, where he would have been at the time that he met his future partner Frederick Lowe. And he made a wrong turn in the bathroom, heading from, in a restaurant, heading to the bathroom. He went the wrong way, and he asked at a table, and that person was Frederick Lowe, who he asked, and they ended up getting to know each other, becoming very wealthy off their musical theater writing, and writing some of the most important musicals of all time. But left hook and a wrong turn, he said. And I thought, oh, what a great way to say, my life took this turn because of a right hook and a left turn. Fantastic. And she's basically saying the same thing, a chance interview in this New York City studio apartment, talking to some other person, about rugs and poverty-stricken people. It's just funny how life is, isn't it? And life is the exact same way now. So keep your eyes open for left hooks and right turns and wrong turns and all of that stuff. You're about to start your very first needle punch project, Lynn. Oh, this is a question. Is it better to cut pre-cut wool, or should I use pre-cut wool, or should you cut your own? You do not have a cutter. Lynn, don't get a cutter for now. Definitely do not get a cutter. I would say if you're punching and you want to punch wool as opposed to yarn, I would buy pre-cut. Depending on what size punch you're holding, the one that I sell is a much smaller one. It's like more of a fine style, so I typically put yarn through it. But if you've got, for example, the Oxford regular as opposed to fine, that regular punch, my mother, I think, most often hooks number 5. You can chime in, Mom, if you want. My mom is a great wool strip hooker, and she usually hooks like a number 5 or even a 4 or less, of course. But anything wider than that, you might get into trouble with them wanting to curl, I think, in the needle. Mom, maybe chime in because you do a lot more hooking with wool. But Lynn, my point is, if this is your first project, I would not spend hundreds of dollars on a cutter. I would get your wool pre-cut. I sell it pre-cut. I don't charge at all to cut the wool. Get it, see how it goes, see if you like punching with wool strips as opposed to punching with wool yarn. And then make a decision about a cutter later, I think, because if you end up splashing out a lot of money on something that you're not sure you're going to like, you're just going to feel sick about the whole thing. So I would just get something pre-cut for now, and we'll see if someone writes something more. Joan, hello in Jamaica. You are trying to punch and hook now, and it feels good. I just need some more practice. Practice with everything, right? It's not just this. Practice with everything, and do it when you feel like it. Don't look at it with scrutiny every 10 minutes. Make sure that you give yourself a hot minute to step back and say, you know what, it's going well. There's a few little parts that have little holidays. I'll need to fill them in later. No big deal. The work of 10 minutes. I might need to pull something out. Who cares? It'll only take a few minutes to hook it again. Just give yourself a minute to step back, let yourself make mistakes, or maybe you end up reconciling with the mistakes and they're not mistakes anymore. They're part of the mood of the piece. So just have fun with it and don't scrutinize too much at the beginning. Wait until everything is locked in, and then look at it and say, this is still bothering me or not. But good luck with your project. And Lynn, good luck with your project. Keep the questions coming. So she goes on to talk about the ebb and flow of humanity and of prosperous people in cities. She's setting up the story of the Gilded Age, but of course we're not calling it the Gilded Age then. There's going to be a massive inflation situation going on at this point, the early 20th century, that will end in the Great Depression. So there are no words for this yet, right? There is no Great Depression yet. She's living 20 years before that happens. So she uses different words, and she talks about the ebb and flow of humanity, of prosperous peoples in cities seeking homes in the country in greater numbers than ever before, at the same time that energetic men and women bred in the country are seeking their fortunes in the cities. So she's describing that interesting dynamic that did happen after the American Industrial Revolution, where people in the country are moving toward the cities because that's where the jobs are, and people in the cities have already made some money and are heading to the country for health reasons, for variety, and to get away from all the products of the Industrial Revolution, the smoke, the fog, the filth, the dirt, the general busyness and overpopulation. And she says, it is needless to enter upon the problems resulting from the drift to the cities. One does not need to be much versed in economics to know that it means overcrowded population, great numbers of unemployed people, increasing difficulties for the individual to get a foothold and save in the most menial employments. In other words, the people who have the lowly jobs, just like today, are not making any money. They're not able to get a foothold and to save any money. And all the attendant evils of close quarters, bad ventilation, disease, increasing pauperism, and crime. When the prosperous meets the surplus, this is a rough one, this is like something out of Dickens. When the prosperous meet the surplus population in cities, they seldom get beyond questionable forms of charity and philanthropy. And then she goes on to say, I'm paraphrasing and I'm really cutting through some of this. In our desire to express utility with economy, we have overlaid any aesthetic tendencies that survived Puritanism. Whatever the real cause may be, certain it is that the North American Indian, meaning Native Americans, those of Central and South America, and the South Sea Islanders show finer perceptions in their use of simple ornament and textiles, pottery, carvings, and weapons than do the greater portion of America's native population. I'm gonna recap that in a second. Nearly all of our best designers in the country are imported, also offensive, and our leading mills, frankly and openly, copy foreign designs. I'm reading this because this is important to the story of the rugs and of her, coming up with this conception for doing this project. But um, at the same time, it's a little bit offensive. I want to just really state very clearly that in her choosing to do Navajo designs and Native American inspired designs as the only rug design she will put out and promote and market and sell, it is her preference and it is her taste that she likes these designs and not other designs. So she's really specifically saying that Americans at this point have no style at all, and everything that's worth having comes from Europe or somewhere else. And she's even stretching herself even further to add that the Native American tribes, as opposed to the South American tribes or the South Seas tribes, Native people, are not as talented, not as intrinsically, instinctively as talented design-wise in America as they have been in other places. So this is the preface to where we're going to go with this story. Again, this is a moment in time, right? This is a moment in time. I'm building and layering so that you know where her head is when we come to the design part of it. She is going to do a lot of good, and she is going to say a lot of good in this book, but she's going to say a lot of this stuff too. And it definitely rubs me the wrong way. Maybe it rubs you the wrong way. Maybe who cares? I'm getting to the who cares point because there's so much of it. It's just like waves, ocean waves. But she does talk quite a bit about, we'll go back to the idea of pauperism, as she puts it, the pauper spirit. She talks about statistics in cities and how she feels like there's an increase in the pauper spirit, but no sort of decrease, no reduced disease, poverty, whatever. And how she targets this population of people, neighbors, in the city who don't have a lot. These are the have-nots that she's targeting, and also the people around her in her country home in the summer, that immediate community of women who are also have-nots, that not the ones in the big house, the ones in the small houses, and the ones who work in the big houses. Those are the people she's targeting with this pamphlet. And she says, how shall, well-educated, trained men and women who go into the country use their influence to keep the country-bred youth at home, sort of still working, making money where they are in places that aren't cities, that don't have those opportunities of employment. It is obvious the most important thing to give them is congenial and remunerative employment. In other words, not charity, not just handouts, giving them something to do. This is the same idea as the medical missions. And the other social missions that we've talked about, giving them something to do, showing them how they can make money and then step back, but giving them that sort of entree into how to do it, what to do, how to do it, where to sell it, where to go with it, that they will be able to, in future, have a steady income. So this is her mission, and the mission is noble. It's sprinkled with really tough language, but it is a noble mission. And tomorrow we will get deeper into how she goes about the mission, because this is something that is not covered in our books on the sort of Chetty Camp, the main mission rugs. What's the other one I want to say? Grenfell. All of these missions we talk about, people arriving who have art backgrounds, are able to do designing, and who also have that entree into society, department store life, where they can sell, bring the markets to the marketplace, the rugs to the marketplace, so that these people can be paid for the work, the handwork that they've done in other places. But what has never been described to us until the Helen Albee book is how do you do that? It doesn't just happen, does it? You don't just like call someone on the phone or dial in, to your computer some addresses that might be helpful. Nobody tells us how to do that until Helen Albee does. So that's a peek into tomorrow. And I do want to say another peek into tomorrow, and I'll show this again. There are no rugs and there are no pictures of this rug, the rugs in the books, but in the back, the last pages, are dye recipes. She's not associated with Putnam dyes, Cushing dyes, or any dyes. She does not do natural dyeing either. She does not say what kind of dye she's using. And she refers to dye colors, for example, as dark green, light green, muddy brown, muddy yellow. These are not actual colors. So it is up to one's imagination to say, I think I know what she means by muddy yellow, but there are recipes in the book. The last many pages are of dye recipes. And as a sneak peek to tomorrow, I want to let you know that I did the best that I could with recreating the dye recipes, and here they are. This is like Helen Albee inspired Native American rug color recipes. These are her colors. As far as I can tell from this book, this is one of my projects I've been working on. These are her colors. Now, she never mentions black, so I haven't put black in. She never mentions white, but I put in a vanilla cream because I felt it was needed. I noticed with her rugs she uses dark navy, but the two rugs that are online, I don't see black, so I didn't include black. These are the colors that she talks about in this book. It was a major feat, but it was insanely fun working out what colors she seems to have used. And this is as close as I can get. So this is going to be coming out more on these colors tomorrow, the Helen Albee colors. This is going to be coming out with 12. There's a link already. I've been working on some of them already. I was working on sketches for Native American inspired using graph paper, which is great to work with if you're doing your own design and get graph paper and work on that. I was working out some designs for Native American style rugs. And I'm going to put this out as a set, just the wool, or getting a kit. And you know, the kits will be under 100. I try to keep all my kits under 100, probably right under 100, because it's going to be a busy kit, where you're going to get a sampler of all those colors and then tell me the one main color that you want, if you want it to be navy or terracotta or whatever. But we'll talk about that. Some of the designs are already up, and the link is here in this video, along with the bingo link, along with the Fiesta link, and all the stuff that I'm flogging right now because I'm going on vacation. I want to be sure we can buy lobster rolls and junk for the kids, you know. But these are some of the designs I worked on. There's a total of 12 I've got so far. I'll probably put 12 or 15 up, but I think there's 10 on there now. And they do correspond to the actual Helen Albee colors. I'm super proud of this project because you know how much I love the history of rug hooking. And my favorite thing in the world is to bring myself and you, because I know you're passionate about the same things, to bring us closer to these things that are gone. You know, Helen Albee's gone. The book is gone. The rugs are gone. The story is all but gone. Just her version of how she started this whole mission. It's all gone. So it's exciting to be able to create at least one link to get back to that place. It's like a bridge. It's a new bridge, but it reconnects to the old. And I think that's super exciting and fun. So that's there too if you are interested. Oh, good. You're all loving the colors. I'm so glad. Oh, I'm so glad. Let me just pop up in the thread. I got to go get Teddy, but let's see. So Lynn, you're saying you have the Oxford number 9 regular with the worms. Yes, definitely they'll work through that. Yep. Yes, so Lynn, definitely your 9 is the needles are only fine or regular, the Oxfords. There's only 2 kinds. So the really, really thin, like hair, like fishing line thin, and really light gauge yarns like lace, mohair, that kind of thing, those will fit through the fine, but you've got the regular. So like I was saying, my mom often uses the number 5 strips going through the regular. If anybody wants to chime in on a larger size, I always cut to 5 if I know someone's punching. But let me know, because I'm not a great wool strip puncher myself at this point. Let me know, or let Lynn know if she can go any higher. I think 5s come out really good going through the regular Amy Oxford regular punch of any size. Number 9 refers to the height of the pile. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual metal part of the needle. It just refers to the height of the pile. So fine or regular, and you've got regular. So that means that a thicker strip can go through, and a 5 can certainly go through. I just want to catch up before I take off. I want to catch up on what everyone's saying. You know what, Jody? That's a great idea. I'll make that a swatch set too. I've got the Fiestaware coming out as a swatch set. I'll also do the Helen Albee's as a swatch set. That's a great idea. I'll do that too. I'll get that ready as a swatch set too before I head out. I still have over a week, so I'll do that too. That's a great idea. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, definitely a huge yes. Oh, good. Okay. Okay, so Relda, you haven't had a chance to watch the die class video until you're having problems accessing the link again. Okay, let me check that. It should be set on private, but your link should go right to it. I'll resend it to you. Oh, everybody's loving that. That's so great. See, it wasn't a complete waste of time. It is an interesting project, Martha. I love to do things that have roots, you know, rather than just starting from scratch or pulling things out of the air. I like to pull things out of the ground, and I like to do things that have roots. And this book, as difficult as it is to read and to get through because of the language, the date, the sort of context of the thing, it's a tough book to get through. It's very long-winded. It's like reading a really early novel that you know, or you know, mystery like what's her name, Anna Leavenworth or something. You know it's going to be good, Mary Roberts Reinhardt. You know it's going to be good, but the language is so dense, it's hard to get the point, and you drift off every other sentence. So I think I've done a pretty good job going through this book and finding the parts that are the most relevant for us in our story. And certainly the dies at the end, Super fun, super fun. So more on that tomorrow. We'll continue with the Abnakee rugs tomorrow, and maybe we'll see what else tomorrow. I gotta pace because I got quite a few projects, like literally right behind me. Have a great afternoon. I'm gonna go get my little teddy bear, and I will see you all tomorrow morning, Wednesday, for coffee time, same place, noon Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to get your bingo tickets. I get them sooner rather than later, and they'll be emailed to you so you can print them before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday night when we beach blanket bingo. Have a great day, everybody.